Hello, I'm Harry Morrison from the Carbon Trust Standard Company, and I'd like to talk to you about how you can cut your CO2 emissions, become a greener organisation, and actually achieve wider business benefits. At the Carbon Trust Standard, what we typically find is that most businesses can save 10 to 20% of their energy bill fairly easily without significant investment, and by taking actions and on projects that have a payback within 1 to 2 years. And what you find is that by engaging employees and making simple incremental improvements on site, you can make those really quite significant savings. Now, for a small pharmacy, that may only be a few hundreds of pounds or low thousands of pounds, but nonetheless quite significant if you add it up year on year. First of all, I'd like to think about the money that you can save through energy efficiency. And I appreciate that for many organisations it's something which is hard to find the time to do. So if you visit the Carbon Trust website, you'll find plenty of publications for SMEs, you'll find online calculators, and you'll find that there's a free advice line as well with plenty of support and advice on energy efficiency technologies. For many organisations, heating and cooling is a key issue, and just having your temperature settings 1 degree too high could cost you around 8% in additional heating bills. Likewise, running your cooling unnecessarily could potentially double your electricity bill, so make sure you've addressed those. Secondly, think about the equipment that you've got in store. For many pharmacies, you'll have refrigeration, and that can be both a big consumer of electricity, but also the refrigerant itself can be a potent greenhouse gas. So make sure you've got the most efficient equipment, and also check that that equipment is not leaking. For a smaller store, you may find that you have a non-half-hourly meter, and that means you may need to read your meters manually rather than rely on your estimated electricity bills to get a good picture of your consumption. It could well be worth investing in a smart meter which can give you a real-time display of the consumption of electricity on site, and that can provide useful information. For example, maybe you've left the lights on overnight, or maybe things are switching on too early in the morning before you turn up for the day's work. So get the data, and that can allow you to really tackle the energy consumption at source, and it can be a great way to engage employees as well. If you empower employees with the information, then they can think about ways to actually cut energy use and cut CO2 emissions over time as well. For many organisations, you can save probably hundreds or even thousands of pounds through energy efficiency, but the bigger opportunity is about growing revenues and engaging your customers. And the best way to do that is to communicate the success you've had with your internal carbon reduction and energy reduction programs. That's what the Carbon Trust Standard is all about. At the Carbon Trust Standard, we certify organisations who are measuring, managing and reducing their carbon footprint over time. And we award a mark of excellence to those organisations who can meet our robust standard. We have a really wide range of organisations who've met the bar, ranging from the very big organisations like Tesco's with their in-store pharmacies, all the way down to the very small SMEs. So we've had a number of really quite tiny organisations go through with just single offices, single site premises, and very much something that would be achievable by the pharmacy sector. And the cost for an organisation of that size is probably in the low thousands of pounds. Ultimately, if there's one thing I'd urge you to do, it's to think about the environment and carbon emissions as a business opportunity in the round. What we find at the Carbon Trust Standard is that consumers really want to buy from ethical and environmentally minded organisations. Around 2/3 say that it's extremely important to them. But at the same time, consumers just don't trust businesses on the issue. Only around 12% of consumers think that businesses are doing enough. Now that gap gives you a great opportunity. If you can be the business that's convincing, that's got a great reputation, that's been proven to be cutting its carbon emissions, then you can seize the initiative and you've got a competitive advantage over your peers. So make sure you've got the programme of action in place and make sure you can prove it. That's where the Carbon Trust Standard comes in, and make sure that finally you communicate to your consumers and that they understand that the good work you've done is really making a difference.